Okay. So we got two sides to this worksheet. On the front side of the worksheet here, you are simply matching the graph with the correct equation in the equation box. So I have got 8 graphs here, and in this equation box I've got 8 equations. So each equation corresponds with one graph. So let's just take a look at a graph A real quick. If I want to come up with an equation for a line, this is what I'm using for my base. M is my slope, B is my y-intercept. Slope, y-intercept. So if you look at graph A, let's start with the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? -3. So in my equation, that -3 would be at the very end, right? It would end with -3. And then for the rest of it, we would need what, our slope. So you would pick 2 points. So maybe this one and this one. We would go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 5 would be -5. And then we would run 1. And what's -5 over 1? -5. So my slope in this part of the equation would be -5x. So that's what the equation would look like. If you look in the equation box, do we see an equation that looks like that? Which one? Number 5. So this would be graph A. Do you notice a shortcut? Something we could have done?
Just look at the slope.
Either just look at the slope or just look at the y-intercept, right? Like on this one, if we knew from the very beginning that it was going to end in -3, is there any other equations that end in -3? No, and to me the y-intercept is the easiest thing to do. You just immediately know where it is. So there is a little bit of a shortcut on this. You see how these all have different numbers to end with? Almost all of them. 7 and 2 are the same, so those are the only two you'll have to check the slope on. But that should be really easy, little shortcut for you. Does that make sense? Okay. On the back side real quickly, take a look here. This side, you're just graphing 6 lines. Now, this is the same as the worksheets that we did yesterday and the day before, but I'm not asking you for the slope and the y-intercept. You still need those things to graph, okay? So if I wanted to graph number 1, we'd start at the y-intercept, and what would the y-intercept be? 3, right? So we would start with a point here. So even though I'm not asking you and I have blanks over here, we still need to know that the y-intercept is where we start, right? We start at 3. And then our slope tells us we need to rise how much? 3. And we need to run how much? 2. So from here, we're going to rise 3. Now notice, I noticed on this graph, if I rise 3, 1, 2, I'll be off the graph a little bit, but that's okay. We can just imagine that it would be about here. Rise 3 and then run 2. And then connect them. So this is just like the worksheet yesterday, except for I'm not specifically asking you to write the y-intercept and the slope, but you can't graph it without knowing those things. Okay? Can we handle it? I don't know if there's any more of them that you'll need to extend the graph on. I think that's the only one. Okay.